yeah, this is gonna be great. Wow, big fan. Okay, so for dinner tonight, I really wanted soup. And I also had all of the ingredients for my Harissa butter beans. So what I'm gonna do is make a Harissa butter bean soup, which if you know anything about those Harissa butter beans, they are 10 out of 10. So just imagine it in soup form. Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna have for dinner tonight. So let's go ahead and get started. So it took everything in me not to make soup every day this week or just to eat this soup every day this week. I've just really been in a soup and cozy type of mood when it comes to my meals, which you'll honestly see throughout this video. So I hope you're looking forward to it. But this Harissa butter bean soup definitely got the job done, and I ended up having some for breakfast and lunch, so it satisfied that soup craving that I had. I started by getting the prep work out the way, so grating a couple carrots, mincing some garlic, shredding the kale, and dicing a shallot. I cooked the carrots and shallots first in some of the oil from the jarred sun-dried tomatoes. In the recipes where I'm using sun-dried tomatoes like this one, I like cooking the ingredients in the oil from the tomatoes because it just adds even more flavor. Oh, and I also seasoned this up with some salt, black pepper, and a little bit of garlic powder. Next, I added in some tomato paste, which isn't part of my original Harissa butter bean recipe, but it worked really well in the soup. Then I went in with the butter beans. These were canned butter beans. I just drained and rinsed them. And then I went in with the Harissa sauce, which can be spicy, by the way, unless you buy the mild version, which is the one that I always recommend. That way you can control the spice level of whatever it is that you're cooking. And if you do want it to be even more spicy after adding the mild Harissa sauce, you can just go in with some red pepper flakes or cayenne pepper if you need it. I let this simmer on the stove in some canned light coconut milk and vegetable broth. And then after the soup had been simmering for a few, I added in the shredded kale and I just let that cook down for a few more minutes. Once the soup was ready, I turned off the heat and I added in my nutritional yeast. The soup was so delicious and, as you can tell, very easy to put together. If you've made my original Harissa butter bean recipe, you can tell how similar the ingredients are. The main difference is that I added carrots to this one for just more volume and nutrients, and then more liquid. I think this is a good way to make the recipe stretch because I was able to get about 3 servings and ended up just enjoying the rest of it with some additional protein. But if you like my original Harissa butter bean recipe, you will absolutely love the soup. So we're about to make a pot pie, and I would make a large batch, but I'm the only one in my house who enjoys pot pie. So I'm just gonna make a single serving pot pie. And then as far as everything that we're gonna use in the pot pie, or the majority of the stuff that we're gonna use, here I have some shiitake mushrooms. I got these from my farmer's market. And then in here I have a broccoli stalk. I easily could have thrown this away, but I figured why not just save it, dice it up, and add it to a recipe. Then I also have some kale that I'm going to thinly slice up, added in here as well. I have some tofu that I'm gonna cube up and cook, onions, garlic, and that should be it. And then as far as the pie crust goes, a while ago I had made some pie crust and froze it, and so this has just been in the freezer, but I took it out last night because I knew I wanted to make this, but I wasn't sure how this pie crust was gonna turn out. However, I did just, as you can tell, break off a little piece right here. Probably can or can't tell. But anyway, I broke off a little piece because I wanted to bake it to see how it would bake. And it turned out really, really well and actually really delicious. So very proud of myself. Anyway, I just wanted to test it out to see how it would bake before I tried to put it on this recipe. Let's go ahead and put this together. I'm really excited and it should be delicious. It's honestly been so long since I've made pot pie, but we recently went to San Francisco. We spent Thanksgiving there, and while we were there, we ended up eating and grabbing coffee from this little cafe that we came across while we were just out driving, and they had a butternut squash pot pie. And when I tell you it was so good, I have been thinking about it ever since. And so I knew that this week I wanted to make a pot pie. Originally, I planned to make this one pretty traditional with peas, carrots, potatoes, you know, the usual. But I am just leaning and embracing this season of change that I'm currently in. So with that in mind, I decided to just switch up the filling a bit. So after prepping everything, I got started by cooking the veggies and protein. So the broccoli stalks, the onions, mushrooms, garlic, and tofu. And I actually ended up adding the kale a little later, which you'll see. But I cooked everything with some coconut aminos. I seasoned it with some garlic and onion powder, some dried herbs like basil, oregano, rosemary, and then of course added some salt, black pepper, and fresh parsley. Next, I went in with some vegetable broth and then some cashew cream that I put together earlier in the day. It's just soaked cashews, a little bit of milk, some nutritional yeast, salt, black pepper, and then I did also add distilled vinegar, which I normally don't do but wanted to try it out, and I enjoyed it. So while that thickened on the stove, I prepped my pie crust by rolling it out. And listen, I'm so proud of myself because I am not a baker, mainly because baking is a science and you really have to follow the rules. And I'm very much add a little bit of this, add some of that. Oh, if you don't have that, add this. But you can't do that with baking. However, one of my goals is to get into baking, and I do think that my first project this month is going to be making some focaccia at home. So I'll keep you updated on how that goes. Also, if you are someone who likes to bake, or you have an easy, beginner-friendly recipe, please leave me a comment letting me know. I don't have a stand mixer, so preferably something that doesn't require one of those, but I definitely want to get into baking. So please share your favorite recipes if you have any, because I would love to try them out. Okay, but back to this pot pie. I added the filling to a buttered baking dish, and then I topped it with the pie crust. I brushed it with some unsweetened original almond milk, and then baked this in the oven for about 30 minutes or so. This ended up being so delicious. I just sat there and enjoyed every single bite. I still have some of the pie crust left over, so I'm thinking I'm going to recreate the butternut squash pot pie that I had in San Francisco. Okay, so for dinner tonight, I have this curry squash. I believe that's how you pronounce it. And what I want to do is to roast this. And then I have some lentils and quinoa that I want to cook together on the stove. I also have some broccoli that I'm going to cook up, and maybe some sort of tahini dressing, but we'll see how I'm feeling as I put this together. So I have some go-to foodies whose videos I just love to watch for inspiration, and one of them recently shared a dish they made using this curry squash, and I was immediately inspired to try it because I had never had it before. I ended up saving the seeds from the squash. I just cleaned them, dried them out, and I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with them. I'm torn between using them for pesto or some sort of sauce, or just simply roasting and enjoying them. I don't know what I want to do just yet, but let me know what you would do. But okay, after removing the seeds, I just sliced the squash, tossed it in some olive oil and seasoning. I used my regular everyday seasoning, so starting with some salt, black pepper, also added some garlic and onion powder, smoked paprika, and if you can't tell, I have been loving rosemary, so I added some dried rosemary to it, along with a couple more dried herbs. Then I baked the squash in the oven on about 400 degrees. And say you're not a fan of the curry squash, or maybe you can't find it, you could also do this with another type of squash. So think butternut squash, honey nut squash, carnival squash, or even acorn squash. While the squash was roasting, I moved on to my quinoa and lentils, which I've been loving these two combined. I just give them a good wash, then I add them to this pot. I toast them with some oil, salt, black pepper, and after about 3 to 5 minutes, I added some vegetable broth, and then I just let these simmer on the stove. This combination is very nutritious, and it also makes up a complete plant-based protein. So if you are looking for more ways to enjoy nutrient-dense seeds or beans or legumes, I would highly recommend combining these two. And then during the last few minutes while everything cooked, I went ahead and put together a quick salad dressing that just consisted of cilantro, tahini, lemon juice, nutritional yeast. Also went in with some salt, black pepper, and some water to just thin it out. Oh, and I almost forgot, I did add a splash of maple syrup in here as well. And then once everything was done, it was time to plate up dinner. And what you didn't see me fully prep, because I honestly didn't do too much to it, but I had some broccoli rabe that I wanted to cook up. And I was very surprised to know that broccoli rabe is not even considered broccoli, but it is a cruciferous vegetable. As far as the taste profile, because I want to say this might have been my first time having it, it is bitter. It is more bitter than traditional broccoli, but I still thoroughly enjoyed it along with the rest of this meal, and I'm definitely planning to make everything all over again. So today I'm feeling pasta, and what I'm thinking about doing is, so I ended up making more of the Harissa butterbean soup because I wanted to record it for Instagram and TikTok. So I made another serving of it, and what I'm gonna do is take some of the soup, blend it up, and use it as a pasta sauce. So I'm just gonna cook up some pasta. I might end up throwing some spinach in there. Not sure, probably gonna add more of that cashew cream that I put together. I don't know if I put it in this video, but I should have mentioned it or shared it in another recipe. But I'm gonna take some of that cashew cream, put it on top of the pasta once it's all done. But this should be really delicious. I don't think I've made a harissa pasta before. So hopefully those flavors come through, but let's go ahead and put that together. The color changed a little bit. Probably the kale, it made it a little darker, but that's okay. It tastes just like the soup. Yeah, this is gonna be great. We have made it to Friday, which I don't know about you, but on Fridays, I either don't want to cook or I need to just clean out the fridge to get rid of stuff that's gonna go bad or use up some of those leftovers that I have, which the meal that I'm making for dinner tonight is a perfect example of how to do that. And what I'm planning to do is to make a warm salad, which is essentially just warm veggies in a bowl, but warm salad just sounds cooler. But anyway, so I have the collard greens and kale that I'm going to cook up on the stove. I have 2 more slices of the squash that I had for dinner the other night left, so I'm gonna add that to the salad. Also going to add some of the quinoa and lentils that I cooked up to the salad. A few other additions just to make the salad pop and taste even better, but that is what I'm gonna have, so let's go ahead and put that together. I don't know about you, but I've never had collard greens in the salad, but I received some in my recent community supported agriculture subscription delivery and wanted to just put them to use in a way that I hadn't before. So I started by sauteing the kale and the collard greens on the stove with some olive oil, salt, and black pepper. Oh, and because the collard greens are tougher than kale, I cooked those first for a few, then I added the kale. However, I didn't cook them too long though because I still wanted them both to have a bite versus being soft, if you know what I mean. I also wanted the salad to have some sort of crunchy element to it, so I decided to toast some walnuts and pumpkin seeds, and I ended up toasting those or warming those up on the stove with some butter, garlic, and dried cranberries. This little combination was so delicious. Here's the leftover squash that I'm going to add to the salad. I ended up adding the 2 other pieces that I had left over from dinner on top of some savory oats, which were so delicious, by the way. Let me know if you want more details on this savory oat situation, because listen, it was so good. But for these 2 pieces, I just cubed them, popped them in the air fryer to warm up and to toast a bit. Okay, and the very last thing I did was put together a quick salad dressing. So I'm using the last bit of cashew cream that I prepped for the week as the base, and then I added some maple syrup to it, lemon juice, and whole grain mustard. By now, it was time to assemble the salad, so I just added everything to a bowl. The sauteed kale and collard greens, quinoa and lentils, the squash, red onions, the cranberry, garlic, walnut, and pumpkin seed mix. And then I also had some carrot tops, which is just the leafy tops of the carrots. I washed them, let them dry, and I've just been adding them to meals here and there. But surprisingly, they're actually very delicious and nutritious. So I would definitely recommend that you hang on to the carrot tops the next time you buy carrots. And then lastly, I added some of the cashew cream dressing and gave everything a good mix before enjoying. I'm so impressed with how the salad turned out. I've never had collard greens in a salad. I typically just cook them the traditional way, or the traditional way that I grew up cooking them, which is like braised on the stove with some onions. But as a salad, it's actually really good. And the curry squash in here, wow, big fan. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you found it to be cozy, warming, inspiring, helpful, especially as you go about planning your meals for the week. And if you do want to recreate any of the meals I shared in this video, I'll have the recipes linked in the description box. But thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate you. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and leave me a comment letting me know which of these meals you want to try or just what you thought about the video. But I'm about to sit and enjoy my salad, maybe even pour myself a little glass of wine, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. This is really good.